Our judicial system is so hierarchical. It's a caste system on its own. The system is not putting up a fight against a strong executive.
In my head, as a commoner who is observing just institutions in general, my idea was that, let's say the Modi 2.0, which was there, a brute majority, kafi power, so institutions usually like lean towards whoever is in power, right? I mean, so legislation, panga nahi lena hai basically. Abhi nahi panga lena hai. But now, since in year, and we spoke last in March, I think, March 2025, so before elections, March 2024, my bad. Yeah. What I want to understand is now that Modi is 240, he is not that powerful. It's a coalition government in power. My idea would be that situations would improve. Institutions would actually start functioning better because the legislature is not that powerful. You don't have to be that fearful anymore. Yeah. What has changed in the last 1 year?
The issue is, I think, and credits to the government for this, because they have projected Modi 3.0 as a continuation of Modi 1.0 and 2.0.
Correct, yeah.
So even if you see a parliamentary process, which you follow more closely than I do, of course, there are bills going to parliamentary committees and all of that. But is there something very significant happening in those committees? Or
not
is the government
really. You're right.
So I think it's really a continuation of what has happened, and therefore the courts have also picked up on this. And the court, functions in a certain manner, in the sense there is a sense of continuity. This is the only institution that is gonna have this Chief Justice in 2031, this Chief Justice in 2029. So there is a continuity in the institution. Now the judges that have been appointed under Modi 1.0, Modi 2.0, because the last batch of judges that were appointed during UPA 2 retired in 2018 or early 2019.
Interesting.
So since then, there have been only Modi government appointed judges. So there's a sense of continuity there, because the judges are already there, and those are the judges coming to the collegium and making decisions on appointments and transfers.
Wait, so Modi appointment, again, like a bit of a distinction. So collegium is the one that is appointing, government is recommending, right? Or do they have like a real influence on the collegium?
The collegium is the one recommending, and the government is the one that finally approves and appoints. And the president appoints.
But the collegium doesn't have to listen to them, no?
They don't have to listen to them. The very initiation of the process starts at the collegium level. So
correct.
The collegium does not recommend Meghnerd, the government can't do anything about it, because there's no file before them, right? But what happens is, and that is what I wrote in the Chandrachud piece also, is that now there is an institutionalization of an extra constitutional body, which is basically people from outside the government or within the government actually going up to these collegium judges and telling them that isko bana dijiye, iska file bhijwa dijiye, isko aap recommend kar dijiye. And there's a lot of give and take happening within the collegium system. Now that is one very huge issue, because then you have these extraneous considerations coming to play. And there are, people with questionable integrity, questionable competence being recommended by the collegium, and the government quickly acting on those files.
Oh shit!
Jaldi appointment ho ja raha hai un logon ka, and that is a huge issue.
So essentially, the collegium is recommending the people that the government wants, and the government is accepting those people quickly, and then the collegium is appointing those people.
This is happening because the government appointed those very collegium judges in Modi 1.0 and Modi 2.0.
Right. Oh, correct. So like it's like because of the continuation, now we are seeing like a whole host of Modi appointments coming in.
And because things have not changed so much in Modi 3.0, or at least that's what it's being projected.
Fair.
Things will not change so much also, right? Because you saw the recent appointment of Vipul Pancholi, who's a Gujarat High Court judge, was Chief Justice of Patna High Court until elevated to the Supreme Court. He is going to be the Chief Justice of India in 2032, if I'm not wrong.
Oh my God!
I've been expensive. Yeah.
Oh God, that's horrifying to think about.
No, what is more horrifying is I wrote an entire piece on him and other appointments that the collegium just did because he was recently recommended. There were very serious questions of integrity surrounding him, you know.
Tell us about him.
And yeah, so he's a Gujarat High Court judge. Back in 2023, he was recommended for transfer to the Patna High Court
Okay.
because there were some adverse inputs from coming from that High Court to the Supreme Court collegium, and the government was not acting on a batch of transfers from Gujarat High Court. There are still 4 judges who have till date not been transferred because the government is adamant and sitting on their files despite the collegium recommending their transfers. But on Vipul Pancholi's transfer recommendation, the government sat on it for 9 months until it finally relented because the collegium was strongly, asking the government to transfer him. Now, it recommended the transfer because there were unresolved questions of integrity. There were serious complaints against him. Now, अब हमारे सिस्टम में क्या होता है? Instead of investigating, instead of suspending, instead of impeaching, transfer कर दो. As if that resolves
Yashwant
anything.
Verma.
Yashwant Verma को जैसे for example. Yashwant Verma is still one of those cases जो impeachment motion is in progress in the parliament.
Yeah. But that
there
also
are-
happened because it came in the media.
It came in the media and was super blatant.
Yeah.
The people's faith was shaken in the judiciary. But what about these, insider information that the collegium gets? So all that they do is transfer कर दो. अब transfer करके कहाँ भेजेंगे? अच्छा पटना हाई कोर्ट भेज देते because there is no industry there, there is no mining there, there is no chances of making big money. तो भेज दो उस हाई कोर्ट में. So they'll eventually they can't be making a lot of money there. So ऐसे करके they make the transfer decision. So I think something similar might have happened in Pancholi's case, but there were adverse inputs about him and he got transferred in 2023. Now 2025 May महीने में the government was very adamant on bringing him to the Supreme Court, but the 5th collegium judge, Justice Nagaratna, who is known to be very independent.
She dissented on a bunch of things.
Yeah, she dissented also recently, and back in May also had dissented on Pancholi's elevation to the Supreme Court. His candidature was dropped for a few months. But then the government again, brought his candidature back in the process, and then he ultimately got elevated to the Supreme Court. So, if you have a Chief Justice of India in 2032, and our judicial system is so hierarchical, it's a caste system on its own.
Yeah.
The Chief Justice of India is the most powerful, institution, an institution on his own. So 2032, when a person like that is appointed, is heading the system, what kind of people will be appointed for 2040, for 2041?
Correct.
So it's a continuation, and we have these kind of judges. So it's a self-sabotage. If you think about it that way, the system is not putting up a fight against a strong executive, and that is a concern that not just me, but senior advocates, people in the profession, retired judges have been crying hoarse over this for the past
Again,
few years.
that's again one more thing. Retired judges बहुत बोलते हैं. Like retired judges are the ones who actually say things about institutional reforms, etc. But is there currently any noise you hear, and this is what chat is also wondering, about reforming the collegium system or putting reforms in the judicial system in general? Is there any interest at all in the people in power to chhodi do, but at least even within the judiciary?
Within the judiciary and even with so the collegium system is a great setup. It's working to the best of its abilities right now for both the sides. So the collegium judges are getting their
And
own
I
set
think
of
you
people.
mean this sarcastically.
Sarcastically,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Now the collegium was created in the 1990s as a promise to safeguard the independence of the judiciary. Far from that, what we are seeing now is a very cozy system between the executive and the judiciary, where people from both sides are getting their own people appointed. It's a give and take. आप इसको appoint कर दीजिए, आप उसको appoint कर दीजिए. Now the question is, who is the most evil amongst that? So maybe there are some collegium judges who put their foot down and say that no, this guy is honest, this guy is of great integrity, we need to bring him into the system. But those are just 1 or 2 judges that eventually make it to judgeship. but far too many people of questionable repute are being appointed from both sides of government. So such a system where everything is hunky-dory for both sides, nobody wants to reform that,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
And the bar is supposed to be the mother of the bench, right? They are supposed to raise concerns and invigorate the system from within. But the bar is completely dead. The Supreme Court Bar Association did not do a chew when Justice Pancholi was being elevated to the Supreme Court. So the bar does not
Even
speak.
even with the Yashwant Verma thing, I don't think the SC Bar Association did anything. I think the Allahabad High Court Bar Association is the one that
Yeah, there are some
protested.
High Court bar associations that protest. Like, for example, when D.K. Sharma from Delhi High Court was transferred to the Calcutta High Court, the Calcutta High Court Bar Association said, please don't bring him to this High Court because this is not a dumping ground. Because
Yeah,
there were
exactly, a
very
dumping
adverse
ground,
remarks
yeah.
about that judge. Ultimately, nothing happened. He's still in Calcutta High Court, but there are bar associations that are far more vocal. But the Supreme Court Bar Association is completely mute on so many issues, and very, I would say, power hungry. Because they don't want to upset the government, they don't want to upset the judges. It's a very hunky-dory system. So there's no scope of reforms for the collegium system because the government is happy with it. They are getting their people appointed. Collegium judges are happy with it. They are getting their people appointed. And I think ultimately, my personal opinion is that the government should not even, try to reform the collegium system because this government, I don't think it has the best interests of the institution in mind.
Fair.
At the
They
moment.
did try it with the NJAC earlier, the National Judicial
Yeah.
Appointments Commission, but that
And
tanked
that was
very
a
badly. It
unanimous
was.
legislation.
Just for chat, in case you don't know, the first thing that Modi government actually did, Modi 1.0 in 2014
It was
end.
his first legislation.
Yes, first legislation that the Modi government brought in was judicial reform. They wanted to eradicate the collegium system and they wanted to make a new appointment system which would be kind of controlled by the parliament. Not completely, but kind of controlled by the parliament and the judiciary together. Interestingly enough, they made a constitutional amendment. It was a unanimous thing that all parties agreed with. And then
And
the
states.
Supreme Court, and also states ratified it. And then the Supreme Court came in and said that the change in the constitution that you made is unconstitutional. That's the most bizarre thing ever. So yeah, reforms, even if the government wants it, the judiciary will not allow it. And clearly now to everybody is working together and doing whatever.
And when I tell you that things have gotten significantly worse, now you saw 9 months ago when Chandrachud was there was a fig leaf of transparency, in the collegium's working because the collegium statements which were coming out about appointments of judges in the high courts and to the Supreme Court, they at least were of 2-3 pages, some basic biodata about the person being appointed. कि उसका एज इतना है, उसका इसमें practice बहुत अच्छा है, he is a great advocate, whatever. Fig leaf because it didn't give any great information. There was nothing about the legal scholarship about the candidate, nothing about how many cases they have done, nothing about complaints against them, nothing about landmark judgments about that they have written, nothing of that sort. But still some amount of biodata, right? But it has gotten significantly worse because once he retired and Chief Justice Sanjeev Khanna took over, it was back to basics, which is basically just a one-line statement saying the Supreme Court Collegium has resolved to appoint the following advocates,
Which
following
is such
judges.
bullshit, dude. I mean, see, that is one of the things कि ठीक है तुम्हारा ये system garbage है, मतलब like it's like a self-serving system, and I can say that openly because I don't give a shit. But even then, like, at least give us the reasons, no? At least give us the pretend reasons why you think this person should be appointed. And now तो वो भी नहीं कर बीच में हो रहा था, you are saying बीच में there was like more details.
चंद्रचूड़ के टाइम पे हुआ था.
चंद्रचूड़ के टाइम पे हुआ था, हाँ.
Yeah. And then Sanjeev Khanna dropped it. CJ Gawai also has continued that, one-line statements.
It's very disappointing when things like this happen.